This is the Town Roots Podcast, episode number 16.
Welcome to the Town Roots Podcast, the podcast of, about, and for Oakland. No matter if you live in the town, do business here, or are visiting, we have something for you. And now, your hosts, Anthony Wilson and Vincent Hayes.
Today we have David and Tina from Much Better Butter. So happy for you guys to join us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah. So why don't we just dive right in? Why don't you guys tell us about Much Better Butter?
Yeah, let's start with how Much Better Butter started. Being a working mom, like many women out there, I felt like it was really important to give our kids the best food possible. So I was making everything from scratch. Dave and I are big farmers market shoppers. We go to the market, get inspired by what we find from our vendors. We got to know the vendors. It was a love going to the farmers market. Big maker of homemade foods and wanted to make food that our kids love to eat. I'm a daughter of an immigrant. And so as a young girl, I would go visit my Oma. And one thing I really looked forward to was having Nutella and Sprudel. So Sprudel is this bubbly mineral water that we couldn't get when we lived in Alabama. And of course,
only in Germany.
Yeah. Only in Germany at that time. And then there was nothing better than having a jar of Nutella, opening up and smearing it on this really amazing crusty bread in my grandmother's kitchen. And so being a parent of two adopted kids, I wanted to share that joy with our kids. It's like, that memory was so powerful and I was so excited. It's like, I'm going to do that for my kids too. So like I go to the store, pick up the jar. This is not the same stuff that I ate as a kid. It's like, it's full of palm oil, tons of sugar, and there's hardly any protein in it. I am going to do better. I'm going to make a better spread for my kids. And it was important that it had to be peanut free because there was a boy in our daughter's class who had a severe peanut allergy. So, gravitated towards sunflower seeds. I'd always been roasting nuts and seeds and loved throwing them in our salads and whatnot. And so started experimenting with blending them and with a lot of taste testing with the kids. Came up
and their friends.
And their friends, right?
And their friends' parents and all the families that we met raising kids.
Nice.
Yeah.
They were your test tasters?
Yeah.
There's no one more picky or more verbose than a child taste tester.
Yeah, so we landed on a chocolate spread, and that was a real hit. And then I felt empowered by Endeavor and decided to create a slightly sweetened one with an organic honey. Love the benefits of honey. You get a better sugar, you get your antioxidants, and you also get some in raw honey. That's important. And then, of course, you had to have a sugar-free spread as well. And yeah, so we ended up with 3 flavors for our line of sunflower seed butters.
Yeah, and I think it's the chocolate was definitely a hit with the kids. We found that the parents, of course, liked the sugar-free version for their kids, but also for themselves, of being able to have a sugar-free version. And as Tina was making it, really people were trying it, and folks who wanted alternatives to peanut butter and even almond butter because of the water usage had tried other sunflower seed butters that were out there and other alternative seed and nut butters, and most of them were really not good, just not palatable. The kids would spit them out, the adults could barely eat them, and we could eat them. And so that's how Tina came up with these recipes that everyone really liked the taste and the flavor, and they tasted better. So that's came up with Much Better Butter.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So take me to the moment where you thought, or where you realized we really have something here like this, we could sell this.
So I think Tina always was roasting seeds for birthday parties, and the kids would devour them. And I think I always sort of think, hey, we should sell these. We should make a little business of this, selling these seeds. They're really popular. But it was more of one of those fantasies that everybody has when everybody has that one dish they make at home and they're like, oh, I can make a business of this. And things are not, it's probably a lot of work. I think for us, Tina started blending it as butters, and it became much easier to send to school. Like, kids aren't spilling sunflower seeds all over the classroom or the playground, and you could put it on sandwiches. You could have it as a dip for bananas and fruit and that kind of stuff. And our kids were liking it, and then their friends were liking it. And I don't know if you guys have kids, but any parent can tell you, right, that most kids are super picky. And if they start eating something that's, as a parent, you think is good for them and they like it, It's an aha moment. You get so excited. And that's it. We have to put this in a jar and get it to all the parents out there, and then find out that actually there's a whole bunch of people out there who don't have kids who really want good tasting, high protein, good for you snack.
For sure. My kids have been in nut-free classes, I think. And Vince and I were having a conversation. I think your whole school is nut-free. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep. So I'm well versed in using sun butter and alternative nut-based spreads for sandwiches and lunches and all that. I should say my wife is. She would say she is well versed in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how do your kids like those? Are there some that they like better than others, or?
So far, we've only used one particular brand, and he loves it. He has no issues, and he actually has no nut allergies or anything, so he eats peanut butter as well, but he prefers the sun butter. And so I'm very interested to have him try your brand and different blends to see what he thinks about those.
Yeah, we'd love to get his feedback. Like we said, the kids are the hardest critics, and we appreciate their honesty.
Oh, they are very honest.
Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so when did you start?
So we started in January of 2019.
Okay. So 2019, you get going, and then
2020.
2020.
2 months before the pandemic shut down.
Yes, that's where I'm going. So you get started, and then here comes COVID. And so how did you adjust to that?
I think at first it's going back, right, that we launched in January of 2020, actually at the Good Food Mercantile in San Francisco, which sort of piggybacks on the Fancy Food Show, which I think a lot of foodie people know in San Francisco. But of course, there's the lead up to that, which is you don't just roll out with a product. It took Tina a long time of development and R&D and working in commercial kitchens to come up with the recipes and be able to make a product that wasn't just a home kitchen blended home product, something you could actually make in quantity that was tasted good. And then there's all the logistics side, the health department permits, coming up with packaging and the design, which Tina can talk about the label design in a bit. And then, so then we launched in January, at the end of January 2020 at a big food show.
Yeah, so it was really well received. We had buyers come up to us and go, this tastes better than any of sunflower seed butter that I have on the shelf. We are interested in bringing you on. So yeah, it was very exciting to have that kind of recognition from people in the food world. Yeah,
people and buyers were like, why haven't I heard about you before? This is great. And we're like, this is our first food show. This is the first time we've ever done it. And they're like, really? You guys look completely put together like a product that's been around for a long time, super professional. And so we were really excited about that and felt we were roaring out of the gate. Yeah, so literally the week after, I'm jumping on the phone and calling all the buyers that I met. So, here's my sell sheet and my price sheet. When can we talk about getting on the shelf? And I'm driving all over the Bay Area, going to San Francisco, to Rainbow Market, dropping off some boxes. Actually, my first sale was at Monterey Market, because I know the buyer there, Richard, and he was in Berkeley,
in Berkeley, and he was super excited to have a locally made sunflower seed butter. And so a bunch of small independent stores were really excited and picked us up right away. In February and early March, we saw this bright horizon in front of us. And our goal, of course, was to start with independent stores and also to partner up with PTAs and schools and maybe get Berkeley and Oakland Unified to get us on the menu, because we had talked to a couple other food vendors who were dealing with the schools, and we thought, what could be better than to have a peanut-free, locally made spread available in the schools? And so we started going down that avenue, and then we also started doing tastings at a couple of these markets.
Nice.
So tastings is a great way, to introduce a new product to a potential customer, because you have the opportunity to meet the customer face to face, and you can hand them the sample and they can taste it and they can go, oh, I love it. And you can talk about it, or they're like, oh, whatever. You can just have a conversation. And so it's just, it's the best way to launch and talk, get the product known. And all that
we had people who were literally had never tried a sunflower seed butter, didn't even know it existed, who were like, well, I don't know, I like peanut butter, this is fine, but just try it. And they would, and oh my God, this is really good. And they would buy it. And those few stores we did taste were great and started selling really well. And people loved the taste. They loved our mission. They loved local business.
Mm-hmm.
And then we literally were set up with 6 tastings at Rainbow Market in San Francisco.
Some in Marin.
And Rainbow, we were the very first tasting canceled in March.
So then now the pandemic hits.
Yeah, I still remember that I was in the car driving up into the Berkeley Hills, and I heard Gavin Newsom say, "As of next week, your kids are going to be home."
I think we were really focused on the school aspect of it and thinking the business was fine and really freaking out about the school side of it and our kids. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah. And all Rainbow called us up and was like, yeah, that's next tasting is canceled. And I think everything for 6 months is canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you have this new baby, right? You have this new baby business and it's going so well and you get hit by the pandemic. What does that look like?
Whew. Don't talk about that too much.
Yeah, it was pretty painful and shocking. Everything just came to a screeching halt. We had a lot of product, and that was always our goal, is to be retail. It's our sun butter, like all seed and nut butters, is a heavy product. And our desire in launching the business was always to be as environmentally friendly and health friendly as possible. So we're always very few ingredients, clean label. And for us, really important to be in glass jars with metal lids. So the plastic's not leaching into your food. And also it's something that is reusable, recyclable, and better for the planet and us as humans. And so for us, it's great, but it also means we have a really heavy product. And so like everybody, we pivoted to online and tried to sell to online on consumers through, Facebook and
I took all my graphic design background and started making little tiny Facebook ads. And David learned about.
I took every online class there was and learned about Facebook ads and all Instagram ads and all of those things. And we went full bore to trying to sell them. And I think it's the other aspect of it. A lot of businesses really blossomed online. And I think because of either their product or how they went. But for us, we're a staple. We're a pantry item. We're something that you pick up when you go to the grocery store. This is not a beautiful scarf or some impulse purchase product. So for us, online was not very successful. It was a really hard road to go. Everybody was online suddenly, and while people were purchasing online, and we also reached out to a lot of these sort of grocery delivery businesses, which seemed to be taking off, but they also were so swamped with all their increase in business that they weren't looking for new products right away.
Yeah, I found it terribly hard to actually reach out and get new retail accounts because buyers were so focused on like how do we operate as a grocery store during the pandemic and instigating new protocols, and we can't even talk about new product right now. So it was a hard time to get new accounts, but I did get a few. Still graciously accept the fact that so many of the independent grocers are the ones like, yeah, we'll support you as much as we can because we know how hard it is to be a small business. So that's. Yeah, like Rocky's Market and Farmer Joe's. Yeah, so they took us on after COVID hit. So I'm still
big supporters of us. And so
continued. So
besides business struggle, of course, as you guys know, there was the kid struggle. Right, suddenly our dining room turned into classroom 101.
Oh yeah, very very well aware and familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the same with production. We're in our commercial shared kitchen, everyone suddenly, no one knew what this virus was and could we work together and what were the cleaning protocols, and everything became super, super safe and very clean. So things slowed down in that aspect. So for us, that beginning and midpoint of the pandemic was very difficult as a new business.
But I think that what the silver lining that came out of it just made us realize how we don't want to be an online business. Like it's so important for us to be in the community where we live. And once the whole family was vaccinated, we felt better about going out and being in farmers markets because we weren't so sure about it before.
Yeah. So I think for us, that turned out to be our pivot. We thought it was online like everybody else. We went with the herd, and then we took us a while to step back and go, wait a minute, we don't care to sell a jar of butter to someone in Tampa, Florida online who we don't know and just communicates via an online store. And it's great if they like our product, but that's That's really not what we want to do.
It wasn't rewarding for us.
And so knowing that sampling was not going to come back for a long time, and knowing that was really the best way for people to experience much better butter and try it and go, yeah, this is really good, as opposed to just seeing a jar on a shelf or a picture on a website. We went to farmers markets when they had reopened and figured out how they were going to handle the pandemic. And that was, while very time consuming, turned to be very rewarding.
Very nice. Very nice. So now that you have created a space for yourself in the, I guess, sunflower spread market, where do you see yourselves going from here?
Yeah, we feel like there's still a lot of opportunity to grow locally and continue to reach out to more independent markets and to grow in that capacity, still focus on retail.
Yeah, so I think for us, it's really just expanding our customer base. There's still a lot of people who don't know about us. And we have ideas in the back of our minds and on our R&D of other flavors that are happening, other flavors with sunflowers, seeds, and other flavors with other healthy seeds. But for us, the immediate focus is really just continuing with the 3 flavors that we have because they're really successful, and expanding the knowledge of that and the reach of those.
So what does success look like in 2022?
Yeah, I would say being in some small retail chains like a Milestone, Oliver's up a little farther north, expanding into Eastern California, like up around Reno or Tahoe, that area, just expand into Southern California.
Awesome. You guys sound like old pros at this. Do you guys have a food background?
Neither one of us with a food background. No, I have a 20 plus year career. I worked in corporate retail doing graphic design. And then from there, I started my own graphic design business. Mm-hmm. And while I had my own business, I went back to school and I got my master's at CCA so I could teach. And I worked at an art organization for artists with disabilities. And I really thought that was going to be my path in downtown Oakland. And then once we had a family, that my focus shifted. But let David talk about his background.
And I come from also the arts, but from film production. So worked mostly doing visual effects on big Hollywood movies for many years and doing that. But always, I think a lot of people in the Bay Area always had a passion for food. And so always wanted to somehow involve that in my work. And at one point had taken a break from doing film production and opened a retail grocery market in San Francisco.
Oh, nice. All
locally sourced. So everything in the market was from within 150 miles of San Francisco. And so that was my first sort of actual job in the food business, besides in college working in cafes and stuff like that. And after that, actually wound up going back into film and had finished a film project right before COVID and had a little time off and thought, I'll just help for a couple of months and help Tina launch her business. It'll just take me a couple of months. So, but knowing that putting a film together, every film is different and you always have to learn about the subject of the film. What is the subject of the film? How does it work? The intricacies of it. You get really educated on that one subject and then you make it happen. And then it turned out that sunflower butter is just like that. So I stepped in to help Tina launch the business thinking I would go back to film. And then so many things, it was such a bigger project than one of us imagined.
Yes.
And then with COVID, all film production shut down. And so without any job to go back to or any excuse, it was let's just go all in on this and we'll make it happen. And it's something we can do at home while we're teaching our kids and make this work. So for us, it was really a passion of, for us, what that brings to it is a real visual style, a real finding out what it is that makes how do you make this product? How do you make it work? What are all the machinery and the technology? Because I think we could delve in deep on the backside of how the product is made, because it's not just simply just roast sunflower seeds and grind them up. We have some pretty sophisticated methods that we use. How do you do that? How do you mass produce it? How does Tina design the label, produce that label, jar it, and get it on the shelves? So there's a lot of just nuts and bolts that both of us are good at from our previous careers. And then you make a good tasting product and the rest sells itself.
Nice. So quick question for you. I'm intrigued because so many people have never heard of any type of sunflower spread or whatnot. And so have you identified who your target customer is and what they look like and their kind of food choices?
It was what has been a big surprise to me is like what you said, like going into the farmer's market and having conversations and people walking over to the booth going, you sell what? I've never even heard of that. And what's so interesting is like the younger kids tend to know because they, like your kids, they can't take peanut butter to school, so they know about it. But I have people that are in their 60s, like they've never had it before, and they try it and they love it. It's been interesting to see that it's actually quite a range of people. I always thought it was going to be moms, was going to be our target audience, but we're finding vegans are really excited about our two flavors, their chocolate and our roasted with sea salt.
Seniors, young people, I think going into this are, we write our, like everyone recommends, write your business plan, write down who your ideal customer is or who that is. And for us, we really thought it was moms and dads of elementary and younger kids who needed a peanut-free school healthy snack. And while that definitely is a good part of our customer base and our market, what we found, like Tina said, at the farmers markets and going out and tasting when we could and talking to people about it, it is really a wide variety of people who either already like it or have tasted it for the first time and really like it. And it's seniors who either have no kids or have grandkids and are not really dealing with lunches, who are looking for a healthy, good fat snack or additive to put into smoothies or stir fries or salad dressings. And then there's the young people who are in their late teens, 20s, 30s, who are looking for the same thing, clean ingredient, high protein, vegan snack that they feel good about eating, that they know tastes good, comes in good packaging, and also gives back to the community.
So I heard you guys mention a number of times, you just said, David, get back to the community. You mentioned local and small independent stores. Why is it so important for you guys to support the local businesses? Why Oakland? Why Berkeley?
Yeah, this is where we live, right? And you want your community to be strong and successful. And it feels good to give back to community, be involved, and watch this, not only the success of your own business, watch the success of other businesses that are in your community and support other food makers. It's an amazing place to be a food producer because it's so well supported here. And it's, add anything to that?
Yeah, I think the fact that Tina said it's an amazing area. It is our home, and it's important to us to be a part of that home and that community and this area and this neighborhood.
And to see our kids, like we're role models for our kids, like we're working in our community and see how great this is.
And we've gotten so much support from the East Bay. It's not just important for us to give back. It turns around on itself. We've gotten so much support from, like you said, the small independent stores who've reached out and said, yeah, you're a Bay Area East Bay brand, we'll carry you. And maybe we didn't sell it first on the shelf. And they're like, yeah, we'll move you up to a better position and we'll put a sign up there that says locally made. And all of a sudden it starts to move and it does well. And you go, that's because the manager at that store really looked out for us and supported us. And how can we give back to that area and that part of where we live?
And I know you guys donate a portion of each sale to a couple nonprofits, Girl Ventures and the Mosaic Project. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we learned about the Mosaic Project because our son went to Rosa Parks Elementary, and part of their program in fourth grade is to take kids from diverse backgrounds and bring them together in an outdoor environment for a whole week where they get to engage with one another and learn to be peacemakers. And so the kids are taught all these skills to help them build a more peaceful world. And we were just blown away by the experience, the way that our son described this experience when he came back after 5 days. And he still talks about it. He still sings. He still remembers the songs and the melodies. And
he's a bit of an introvert. And so he really didn't want to go. It was his first overnight, like not at a friend's house for the night.
Without his parents.
So multi-night over with no adults that he knew other than a couple of teachers. And they went down to they're in Santa Cruz Mountains and with kids from grade schools, from Marin, from Oakland, all over the Bay Area and Mosaic. He's like, this sounds like super corny and, cringy songs and I don't want to go. And I'll just stay home and play video games while everyone else goes. And we're like, no, you're going. And he came back, in 1 week, he was just like a different kid. And he talked about all these kids he bunked with who were so different from anyone else he had met at school.
And he had this little book and he had everybody's, contact information so he could reach out and stay in contact with these kids afterwards. So it's really...
Yeah, and taught the kids really about, exactly. Peacemaking, conflict resolution. They did an exercise where I think they had a pizza party and half the kids got to sit at the table and the other kids had to sit on the floor. And the kids at the table got all the pizza.
Yeah.
And they were like, what's going on? And they, there's more detail to the story, but they really physically taught the kids about haves and have-nots.
Right.
And they were
very
like,
powerful way,
right. And they're like, okay, all the kids at the table, you can eat all the pizza you want. And the kids on the floor, they get to watch you. Yeah. And the kids at the table are like, I think we're going to share our pizza with those kids. Because I bunked with those kids. I know those kids. And they're like, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. And then they really sat down afterwards and talked with the kids about the process. And just a wonderful organization. And that's how we met Mosaic.
And that was pre-COVID. And unfortunately, our daughter, she's a year younger. She didn't get to go because it was the first year of COVID. She didn't have that experience, which will always be something.
How can we support them? And they also went online and did classes online, which we did with her. And then for her, luckily, pre-COVID was Girl Ventures, which we discovered through my niece, who actually lives on the East Coast and found them online and came out here and did a trip with them. Backpacking. So they're talking about their focus, about Girl Ventures' mission.
Yeah, Girl Ventures works with girls and they do a lot of work on identity, social justice, environment, and confidence building. They take the girls out into nature. It could be anything from a kayaking trip out at Point Reyes or backpacking trips up in the Sierras, but they pivoted during COVID, and so all their support for girls went online. So a lot of Zoom workshops and whatnot. But they started doing outdoor last summer, but very limited.
Yeah, empowering and teaching of girls to be in leadership roles and become women who are business starters and run different programs. And so my niece went on a hike in the Sierras for 10 days, I think it was. And when she was 15 and, my sister put her on a plane by herself for her first trip out here, I picked her up at Oakland Airport and took her to Girl Ventures, which is in Oakland, down by the port. And I was her sponsor, her adult, and took her there for the kickoff seminar. And it was like these 3 kick-ass women who were like, we're leading this trip. We're going up to 12,000 feet. So be prepared to be cold. We've got all the gear here for you. It doesn't matter what your income background is. Everyone gets the same gear and the same thing. And this one woman has EMT training. This one has remote rescue training. And let's go. And they all got on the bus and left. And I called my sister and I was like, if I was going into the woods for 10 days with nothing, I didn't know anything, I want these 3 women to get me out, leave me. I was like, don't worry at all.
Wow.
And the same thing, she came back transformed. She's, oh my God, I just lived out in the woods. We backpacked with all our food.
And she was not a backpacker either. Like this. No.
Yeah. And then, they run trips and leadership skills for girls and kids of all ages. So
she was actually going to come back the next summer and be a TIC, and that, COVID shut that down. And then it was our goal to have our daughter, she was old enough to go last summer, but they scaled back the program so much. They only allowed in half the girls because it's a safety issue. They needed girls only 1 per tent, and they had to be, certain distance apart. So we're still hoping that our daughter would be able to take one of their summer programs this year.
Yeah. And so for us, those are 2 great organizations, Oakland organizations, kid-focused organizations. I think, you guys as dads know it's like getting your kids out there and getting them exposed to other kids and becoming strong leaders of tomorrow is just so important. And for us is, a way to give back to our community, but also knowing that these organizations, Girl Ventures and Mosaic Projects, give back to us. Our kids are going to get training. Their friends are going to get training. The whole community is going to be stronger because of it.
Yeah, that's that they're there. Yeah. And so whatever we can do to promote them, like on the top of our jars, we have stickers that mention by name Girl Ventures and the Mosaic Project and the UL, so people can go, oh, what's this organization? And they can find out more about them. But every jar that's sold, some of that money goes to these 2 organizations.
That's awesome. So where can people find you? Your products, that is.
Yeah, our product can be found in Oakland at Farmer Joe's. at the two Rockies locations. They have one in Brooklyn Basin, one on Leimert Avenue. And then where else are we in Oakland? So we're in Berkeley. We're at Monterey Market.
Berkeley Organics.
And that's it for Berkeley. And then I feel like we just focus on the East Bay locations. Oh, Diablo Foods is out in Lafayette. And I think, Roxicol, which is a small chocolate and cheese shop on Hopkins. You can find us there. And they have a location in Kensington.
And then we're in a number of Marin stores and San Francisco stores. So that's it. We're basically those 3 areas right now. And you can go to muchbetterbutter.com and click on where to buy, and it lists all the retail stores that we're at.
Awesome. So no purchase of your product on your website. You have to go to the stores, right?
No, you can actually buy it. You can buy it online.
You can buy it online. Okay.
Thanks for giving us that plug. Yes, you can buy it online as well. We do, if you're near us, we'll just bike over to you and drop it off.
Yeah, we have a little electric bicycle with a big basket on the front. So
we used to take the kids to school in before they got too big. But yeah, so if you're in Berkeley, we'll bike it over to your house, or you can come pick it up from us. We have a couple people from Oakland who come up to Berkeley every once in a while and pick it up from us. And then also at the Kensington Farmers Market on alternate Sundays. Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. So we really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. It was really fun talking with you both.
Thank you for listening to the Town Roots Podcast. For more information about the show, to leave comments and connect with the hosts, head over to www.townroots.com.